Welcome to the Government News Brief for Tuesday, December 6, 2016. In the news, debates on Budget 2017 resumes on Day 2 with Education Minister defending allocation to the sector. Government is moving towards providing accessible and affordable housing for low-income persons and CSEC students to benefit from free night classes. Stay tuned for these and other stories. Thank you for staying with us. I am Renetta LaFleur. Here are the details. Education should not be an area that should be the target of unnecessary politicking and partisanship, says Minister of Education Dr. Rupert Roopnarine. Find out why in this Tiffany Rodius report.
Education Minister Dr. Rupert Roopnarine was speaking in the National Assembly today in support of Budget 2017 and the allocations made for the education sector.
I put forward that there is arguably no other area of public administration as intrinsically challenging as that of the education sector, but also none so critical to national development, particularly when it comes to charting our course towards a greener and more diversified economy. I understand that the key purpose of a political opposition is to oppose, and I allow that there will be differences of opinion on how the business of certain sectors is administered. Education, however, is not an area that should be the target of unnecessary politicking and partisanship for partisanship.
Minister Roopnarine says that this is why the ministry would have consulted extensively with its stakeholders with regards to the measures provided for in the 2017 budget.
The inputs which inform this year's allocation do not only reflect APNU AFC's policy directions, but the technical competence of education officials, research by learning experts, strategic recommendations of international partners, and the expressed desire of parents and guardians of the children and young people who are the primary beneficiaries of what it is we strive to achieve. I do not expect unanimity, Mr. Speaker, nor do I expect an absence of strident critique. I do, however, expect that whatever criticisms are made will be done from an informed perspective and in good faith. And in that regard, I will be only too willing to be receptive to meaningful and constructive intervention.
The Education Minister also outlines projects that would be undertaken by his ministry in 2017 for the benefit of students and teachers countrywide.
Some of the key objectives of the upcoming year will be to improve teacher training in keeping with our priority areas for education, increase instructional time for students, improve upon monitoring and evaluation, better monitoring, supervision of capital projects, and to enhance the internal efficiency of the ministry. All our initiatives in this regard, Mr. Speaker, are in recognition that there are three critical fronts from which we need to engage in education sector enhancement. These are pedagogy, service delivery, and innovation.
For the second year in a row, the importance of investment in education has been underscored by the government's commitment of over 17% of the national budget towards this sector. Minister Roopnarine says that it is a commitment that is underscored by government's recognition that there are things that are institutionally wrong with the system and that it cannot skimp on investment on education. For the Government News Brief, I'm Tiffany Rogers.
Government is moving to provide accessible and affordable housing for low-income persons. Thousands of house lots issued by the previous administration remain unoccupied. Details in this Paul McAdam story.
The previous administration's housing program has been described as poorly configured and overly ambitious. This is according to Minister of Communities Ronald Bulkin. The Communities Minister was at the time speaking during a program Budget in Focus, aired on the National Communications Network, NCN.
The housing program that we inherited was an overly ambitious one. It sought to provide what is called a serviced house lot to practically anyone so desirous. It was much too ambitious. And when we look at the figures, over the last 20 years, a total of approximately 66,000 house lots were developed. But currently, over 28,000 of those house lots are unoccupied. So there is an unoccupancy rate of 45%, which is quite high.
Minister Balkan says the situation became worse in the run-up to the general and regional elections of May 2015.
Those figures shows that approximately 38 schemes were developed in the period 2011 to 2015, yielding a little over 20,000 house lots, of which less than 4,000 have resulted in houses being constructed. So the rate of unoccupancy was over 80%. A sum of approximately $13 billion was spent in those 38 areas to which I've just referred, and the estimates that are required to complete the infrastructure in those 38 areas is a further $16 billion, resources that the central government simply does not have.
Minister Balkan says that under the new government, the Central Housing and Planning Authority, the CHNPA, is moving back to its legislative mandate. This mandate is to provide accessible and affordable housing for low-income persons. The new government has also added the provision of housing for state employees to this mandate.
The initiatives that are now being taken by the central government and the CHNPA is to utilize a significant portion of this $8 billion, approximately $5 billion, to construct housing units, duplexes, condominiums, and townhouses in our coastal regions, in regions 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, in locations such as Charity and Onderneming in region 2, in Strothville in region 3, Perseverance in region 4, and Kurukuru. There's Experiment in region 5, Bartica in region 7, and in region 6, there's Fort Ordnance, and in New Amsterdam.
The state will be building these units. It is estimated that 1,000 of these configurations will be built and offered with affordable terms. The minister says that this will allow for first-time low-income persons to be able to afford and occupy these new 1,000 units. Paul McAdam, Government News Brief.
The Ministry of Education will soon conduct an impact assessment of the Interactive Radio Instruction IRI Mathematics program as part of a wider effort to improve the subject's performance at the primary level. Zanil Williams tells us more.
Acting Chief Education Officer, CEO Marcel Hudson, says that a review of the IRI mathematics program reveals the need for improving the delivery of the program.
The reaction that we're getting from the specialists, the people who are mathematically inclined, who are familiar with what is happening, is that we have to spend some more time dealing with how the program is delivered.
To ensure that there is effective delivery, the Ministry of Education will soon undertake training, Hudson adds.
The IRI program, there will be a concentration on training also in terms of how that program is delivered.
The CEO says that reviews from teachers on the success of the IRI mathematics program are mixed. However, Hudson says the onus is on teachers to ensure that in delivering the program, they make it fun for the pupils.
Because we talk about maths being fun. If you look at or you listen to the program, you will hear of Jennifer Cumberbatch, for example, how she does that, and the children, if the teacher could only become lively just like the presenter and so on, the thing could be fun.
The review of the IRI program is part of the short-term plan to address the poor performance in mathematics at the primary level. IRI was introduced to the primary education system in 2006. The government is investing heavily in the training of teachers, procuring of toolkits, and other initiatives aimed at making teaching of mathematics more fun. The aim of the investment is to improve performance in mathematics at the primary level. I am Zanil Williams for the Government News Brief.
Minister within the Ministry of Social Protection, Keith Scott, contends that the 2017 budget contains many initiatives that will benefit different categories of society. Delicia Haynes has the details.
The minister, during his presentation on day one of the budget debates, said the $250 billion 2017 national budget is certainly one which is designed to provide a good life for the poor, youth, elderly, and all Guyanese at large.
Let us look at the poor. When we won power, where were they? They were forgotten, uninvolved in the future of this country, and made to feel that they were useless geriatrics to be discarded and treated with no respect. They received meager handouts as economic relief and $13,125 as old age pension, which, as you know, did not go a far way.
The minister with responsibility for labor said the budget caters for numerous initiatives to improve the lives of youth. $991 million has been budgeted for programs including the Youth Entrepreneur Skills Training Program, YEST, the Sustainable Livelihoods and Entrepreneurial Development Program, SLED, and the Hinterland Employment and Youth Service, HAZE, among others.
These achievements are all designed to ensure that our young people, our youths, our future leaders are better prepared to take their rightful place in the society so that we can help them enjoy a better life, not only for themselves, but also for all succeeding generations.
Additionally, the minister notes that the budget also makes provision for all categories of employees and caters for needs of regular employees. Meanwhile, opposition MP Jillian Burton Prasad says that the country's workers are not getting any thanks for their contributions to the nation's development and their trade unions are being disrespected.
It is the workers of this country who will deliver the good life. But what do they get for that? Promises of a 20% salary increase, ridiculed, being called lethargic, and poverty by an imposed high cost of living and heavy taxation. That is the thanks the workers of this country get for their contributions to our country's development.
The opposition MP urges the government not to look back at what the previous administration did, but to look forward and use the opportunity to do it and do it well. A total of $533 million has been purposed for the management of the functions, including labor issues, which fall under the minister's purview. For the Government News Brief, I am Delicia Haynes.
A new tax is being proposed on certain types of containers. The head of Guyana Revenue Authority tells us why.
The issue of plastic bottles and other often non-returnable containers littering many communities will be addressed in part by the new $10 tax per container. In a recent program aired on the National Communications Network, NCN, Guyana Revenue Authority's Commissioner General Godfrey Stacia explains the reasons that prompted the soon-to-be introduced tax.
The tax that we are envisaging should be geared. What I mean is that it should be geared to give, if you note what the minister said in the budget, should be geared towards giving credits to persons who would be involved in recycling. So it is not the case that, as far as I'm aware, that this tax would be going towards
Government.
the government. It should be used strictly to help the environment.
The GRA head says that the intention is to boost the efforts of companies seeking to get into recycling.
Basically, if there are no penalties for the state of all the bottles and all the tins all over the place, no one would want to get involved in the recycling process.
Right.
So that is basically what the tax is for.
The imposition of an environmental levy of $10 per unit on importers and local manufacturers of products using non-returnable metal, plastic, or glass containers of any alcoholic or non-alcoholic beverage was announced by the Finance Minister during his 2017 budget presentation. The new environmental levy with penalties will be implemented by amending the Customs Act, Chapter 82(1) to include a section to impose this. It will ensure that Guyana complies with the provisions of Article 90 of the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas. Paul McAdam for the Government News Brief.
Students who will be sitting the Caribbean Secondary Education Council CSEC exams are being offered free night classes. More in this report from Isaiah Braffett.
The program is being piloted in 3 communities, Soesdijk, Sophia, and Natramveld. The President's Advisor on Youth Empowerment, Aubrey Norton, says that the program targets those who wrote the CSEC examination but has less than 5 passes.
These night schools, most of them begin with 20 and 30 persons and went up in no time to about 100 in each case. Now, we had to compartmentalize them, identify those who are ready to do CXC this year, and in each one of them, more than 30 persons have signed up to do the CXC. And the others we are preparing for the next year.
The presidential advisor says the program has benefited young people and will be expanded.
We hope that we can expand it, because if you accept that 16,000 young people do the grade 6, what we used to call common entrance, and then there's a large drop-off in terms of the amount that did CXC, and then this large amount that did CXC but didn't get 5 and 6, you'll understand how important it is to have such a quality. So the night school was established.
The move to offer the free courses are a part of government's effort to ensure that all youth have access to education. Isaiah Braffett for the Government News Brief.
That has brought us to the end of our Tuesday, December 6th edition of the Government News Brief. The details of these and other stories can be found on GINA's website. We encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also visit and like our Facebook page so you can be informed as the news unfolds. Join us tomorrow for another edition of the Government News Brief. I am Renetta LaFleur. Thank you for watching.